Welcome to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. Here's your host, Dave Snowberger.
All right, welcome back to Real Estate on the Rocks, top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. I'm your host, Dave Snowberger, joined today with Marshall Tucker, Alicia Hooper, and special guest, Paul Campanaro.
Here we go.
Yeah. All right, Paul C in the house.
Paulie C.
All right, today, hey, I wanted to talk a little bit about mindset, really kind of that scarcity mindset versus that abundance mindset. I know everybody in here, I've had conversations one-on-one down the hallways by the water cooler talking about these things. And I just kind of wanted to see, like, what's your perspective on that? And so we're going to go right to our guest, abundance versus scarcity.
Yeah, I think it's so easy to get caught in scarcity mindset because of fear of losing, right? Maybe even go, like, I'm not a psychologist or a specialist in any manner, but like that like caveman mentality, right? Like protect what I have. And I think it's so easy to get caught in that scarcity mindset. And when we're talking about real estate now, right? Like I'm launching a real estate career and I have nothing to start with as it comes, right? I'm just starting off and I don't have anything. So it can be difficult to think abundantly in regards to my business or leads or whatever it is that allows me to just come from because that's a big problem. If I come from a scarcity mindset, then everything else, it saturates down into everything else that I'm doing. And if I'm communicating from a scarcity mindset and I don't recognize it, maybe that's happening indirectly or subconsciously that I'm communicating from a scarcity mindset, then people at an open house, I'm prospecting over the phone, like it conveys, it comes through. Energy's real.
You set the wrong tone.
Energy's real.
And that's what they call commission breath, right? You have that desperation that comes off.
Absolutely. I'm coming from scarcity. And so energy's contagious. Then they're feeling, now they feel weird because there's something weird going on that they feel, that they vibe on.
Right.
And then I feel weird. And then two weirdos one weirdo plus another weirdo doesn't equal
a deal.
Exactly. Equals two weirdos. Actually.
Yeah.
We're doing actual math. That'd be two
does
weirdos.
not equal a deal. For sure.
All right, Marsh, I know that you're well-versed in this abundance versus scarcity mindset. We've had a lot of one-on-one conversations, being that you and I work together a lot. And I think over the past few years, you've asked me certain questions like, why would you share this? Why would you put that out there? If you're having any success with this, why are you showing other people how to do it? You know, and one of the reasons why, I know I want to ask you a question. I'm going to go ahead and take this one.
I was ready to answer. I forgot the question already.
So, it's that I believe that even if I put it out there, one, it helps me evolve a little bit more, and I really do think that 99% of the people won't do anything with it.
That's right.
They won't do anything with
Absolutely.
it. So I can put my whole game plan out there, steps 1 through 20 in making $1 million, and nobody will follow it. It's the craziest thing. However, it puts me in a position that I am coming from abundance, and I'm sharing everything that I've got. I'm giving it out there. I'm letting every new guy have it. Every person that needs some new tricks in their bag, I'm telling them what, hey, look, this is where we're having success. And then hopefully they'll share their success with me.
Absolutely.
And so half the stuff that I take on or we start doing or start implementing is I'm really R&D'ing out of somebody else's playbook, and that usually comes from abundance, somebody opening up that playbook and say, hey man, so I'm part of that 1% that can dig in that playbook and say, okay, this guy just showed me what to do, I'm going to start doing it.
And you actually execute on it, right?
Right. I mean, I try to as much as possible. On we have a big whiteboard in the office, and right at the top it says shut up and execute.
That's right.
And so we learn these things, we read a lot, we take in a lot of trainings from people that are sharing in that abundant space, and we take it and we just start executing on as much as possible. And so why not share it back?
For sure. Absolutely.
Now you, Marshall.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, well, I'm lost again. As far as the mindset goes, I believe what you put out there is what you receive back, is what you hear. So, I don't cuss. What you put out there is what you get back, right?
Yeah. You don't cuss?
No, hardly ever.
Really?
Not in the market. So there's different. You gotta wear like what Jim Hohn says. You show up. You don't cuss. You're the first one there. You're never late. So I project those kind of things.
You don't smoke?
I don't smoke. No.
Cigarettes.
What? But yeah, so just the right mindset. So every morning when I get up, my wife asks me, like, why do you get up so early? Does it take you that long to get ready in the morning? And it's like, well, yeah, because I have to get my mind right. Because if my mind's not right, I can't make those calls. I can't have those conversations. If I have things or problems, dragging me down, you got to check that at the door.
Yeah.
Right on.
Another thought on abundance too is that I think a lot of agents underestimate how much other agents are willing to share.
Yes.
I know we're lucky here in this office where that's our cultural norm here actually, and a lot of other offices that's not a cultural norm. But I'll tell you, more top producers than not are willing to share what they do. And who's everybody's favorite topic? Themselves.
That's right.
Yeah, me.
Favorite thing to talk about is me.
Me, right? Yeah, I'd love to hear you tell me more about me.
Yeah, right.
Go ahead. But I've experienced that nationally. I've been all over the country, and more often than not, top producers are willing to share. Now, albeit within a confines of scheduling because they're busy, and
Sure.
You can't just go up to somebody and say, "Hey, can I pick your brain?" But if you respect them and their time, more often than not, they will share because somewhere along the line, usually 9 times out of 10, somebody shared with them.
That's right.
And came from abundance on what worked and where they need to be.
Focus on the value you bring to others.
Yeah, so I challenge people to that's one of the reasons why I came here was being with another company for so long was better conversations more often. And there's a book, Fierce Conversations, where they talk about the conversations, the relationship, and that's where I need to be with my clients in conversation more often and having better conversations.
Absolutely.
But that's where I need to be at home. By at home, I mean my office first, right? Conversations with people at home help me have better conversations with people out there in the real world. And so how am I being intentional about doing that? Because people aren't lined up in the lobby waiting for me to talk to them. I need to be intentional about creating those conversations. And then how am I doing that?
Yeah. And I that's a huge thing we'll probably double back on and drill down on, but the whole creating that, just going out and creating that bringing people to me type thing, because everybody seems to be in the agent space is waiting for those people to come to them, but they're not doing anything to draw them in.
Right.
They're waiting for their phone to ring, but they're not doing anything to attract. You're right. So Alicia, you're up. Abundance versus scarcity.
Absolutely. So a different perspective than what's been shared already. When you are in the mindset of abundance, you just have that win-win attitude. Like you want everybody in the transaction to win. So you don't come from a quote unquote fight standpoint. You're like, okay, what can we do to make this deal happen? You have that abundance. You want them to succeed as much as you want to succeed.
Gotcha. Thought about something on the way here. You ever seen the movie Yes Man?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So just that got brought up this morning somewhere on a podcast or somewhere I was listening. Something I was taking in this morning, and it was just what I wanted to get when I got to work was talk to my team about yes. Everything out of your mouth is a yes, and that's where I landed on this topic today. Was scarcity versus abundance. Have that mindset that there's enough out there for everybody, but it's yours to go get. You have to go get it.
Yeah.
And so when people say things to you, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? Can you make 100 calls? Can you make 20 calls? Can you get 20 no's today? Say yes.
That's right.
Just start saying yes to everything. Hop on the phone. Just start having conversations. And the whole time say, yes, I can come look at your property. I can do this. I can more than likely sell. I mean, there's obviously the no's in there you got to say. Can you come sell my home
commission?
for free? No. Can you reduce your commission? No.
Yeah.
But I really wanted my whole team to just take on the word yes. And for the most part, everything that came their direction, just start saying yes to. Okay. All right.
I love
Let's
it.
get it done.
It's good.
Open and accepting versus closed and rejecting, because we even do that inadvertently.
That's
sometimes.
my default.
Yeah,
Right.
by default.
Yeah, the default is the closed off saying no to things when I should be saying yes, because where I've gotten to where I am right now is by joining a company like this and realizing there is such thing as abundance, and there is such thing as that I can share and I can learn from others, and I don't have to worry about anybody ripping me off, and there's enough out there for everybody.
Well, and even that happens at such a more micro level where somebody says recommends to get business a certain way or do something, and almost by default subconsciously we'll defend why not to do it or an excuse about its effectiveness or whatever.
100%.
Yeah, and so awareness is transformation. I don't know where I got that. Somebody had said that. I read it somewhere or whatever.
I did. I said it.
Was it you? It was you.
Copyright, Dave.
Well, awareness.
I heard it from Paul first.
Right? but then knowledge without action is delusion. I've heard Tony Robbins say that, right? Just because you know something, so what? What are you going to do about it?
Exactly.
So then now I know that, okay, I need to be a little bit more conscious and aware of scarcity versus abundance mindset. Okay, what does that mean from my day to day? Not just the big, huge things on I want to have an awesome life and be this big, abundant thinking person, but like in little tiny ideas of rejection or criticism or whatever it is that kind of trickles its way into my life.
Yeah, the no's no longer affect you, so to speak, or they don't affect you as deeply.
Yeah.
If you have the right mindset.
Another one that I had heard, and I'll probably butcher this, however, it was, I am not succeeding because somebody else succeeded in the same space. There's a big team out there that gets a lot of credit and a lot of pats on the back for how big of a team they are, how many deals they bring in, everything else. And a lot of people hate on them. Well, we had started talking about that. Well, if you take a step back and look at it, like there's no reason to hate on them. You should congratulate them.
And learn from them.
And the reason why you're not being the best you can be is not because they made it in the same space.
Exactly.
You mad at yourself.
There's plenty of abundance out there for both of you to make it, for every big team in town to make it, for every big team in the nation to make it. You know, it's not just because this person succeeded, now I can't succeed. You know, they took my abundance away from me. No,
well, look at this. Look at so we visited Lance Loken in Houston last week, and his goal. So he did $700 million last year with 75 agents. Just his team did as much as a big market center like us would do.
It is incredible.
Incredible, right? But
Yeah.
he said his goal was to achieve 15% market share, which would be huge. But okay, well, let's scale that back. 15%. 15%. And he hasn't yet reached that. I don't know what 700 million is in regards to actual market share for his market, but he wants to get to 15%, and that he's at 700 million. So what is that number? I don't know, but the matter of the fact is, a coach once upon a time told me, he goes, Paul, there's more nuts than there are squirrels to eat them. There's enough for every. What do you want? You want to take one expired a month, 12 expired. If your average commission is $10,000, that's $70,000. If you just get one,
right?
And there's 150 a month or 100 a month or whatever it is. I mean, whatever it is for your market, like there's enough for everybody.
Absolutely. Yep.
Expires. I mean, there's enough business out there, so
Yeah.
I think we're pretty well versed on that. Other ways that we could show abundance. I mean, just coming from abundance. What do you think?
I think, like y'all kind of touched on, just being open to learning from others. I mean, not having that closed mindset of, well, this is my way or the highway. Abundance mindset is just open. I mean, you know that everything will be provided and you'll learn, and it's going to be a win-win situation. So.
If I take care of me, if I take care of others,
That's right.
you know.
Take care of others. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Also, I always hear people say, where should I invest my time to resource business, right? Generate leads. And my response is all forms of lead generation work. They all do.
Yeah.
Their effectiveness to them and your commitment in regards to creating consistency and the habit to engage that lead generation. Could you kill it and could you make $1 million a year on open houses? Yes. Could you do it on marketing? Obviously, yes. Expireds? Yes. Now, effectiveness and efficiency, that's another story. But when we're talking about abundance, like, find your zone, get in your lane based on what your personality's like.
I think that's one of the biggest things when it comes to new agents coming into the market, and I've been certainly guilty of this and just realized it really in the past year, is that there's really seven forms of lead generation that are direct income producing activities, right? There's a bunch of indirect, non-income producing activities. However, direct income producing activities, there's 7 of them. You really need to be good at one of them. One of them can provide everything for you and your team.
That's right.
As long as everybody's on the same page that we are the best open house team there is in Austin, Texas. We are the best cold callers that call for FSBOs and expireds, and because those kind of rope into the same plan.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You look like you have something to say.
Well, my caveat would be that everybody needs to be a sphere of influence guru, a sphere of influence master with your one leg of open houses or expireds or door knocking or whatever it is. Like that's your one thing.
Right.
Because I think that I was just today talking with somebody who's doing $6 or $7 million just kind of by default. She said, like, well, I didn't really do much, and it kind of just she's been in the business, 15 years. But I'd said it at ALC. If you've been around and you're being intentional about your sphere of influence, you should do 7 or 8 million just by default.
Yeah.
And then with some intention. Right. So then that's one leg, my sphere of influence. And then you should really, if you want to grow, because when somebody says, I'm referral only. Well, I'm sorry. That's not actually like a proud thing to say unless you don't really care about real estate as a business and you're just doing it to service your friends and family or people are in your sphere of influence. Like that doesn't say I have a successful business. Successful businesses grow. And if you want to grow, you have to get outside of the sphere of influence and start building the database upwards in regards to amount of people in it. That means going to talk to people you don't know.
And then the thing, if you've had tremendous success over the years and then you can afford, if your business is still thriving off of just referral, you can definitely go that route. However, $5 or $6 million worth of business a year from straight referrals, I don't know if that's thriving.
Yeah, I mean,
It may be for them.
Maybe.
Maybe it is.
Everybody's story is different.
It's subjective, but
Yeah, absolutely.
When we were at Family Reunion last year, they talked about, look, your sphere of influence should, in a healthy business that's growing, only really account for somewhere between 45 and 65%. Like if you're 70, 80%, then really you're, as far as how you're being intentional to grow, you're not being as intentional as you could be if you want it to grow. If not, and you're complacent, and I'm not saying that as a bad word, then fine. That's fine. But let's understand like what that really means in regards to percentage of my business and where it comes from.
Right.
And where I'm at maybe in my mindset with what's what does abundance mean for me?
What abundance means for I mean, you hit it on the head earlier before the mics were turned on. What was that again?
I don't know.
That's why we always record.
Rewind, James.
Rewind.
You can
Let's go,
cut
new
it
guy.
out. You can cut it out. Thanks for Paul Campanaro stopping by today. Paul, tell people how they can get a hold of you.
So I'm a real estate team leader at the Keller Williams Northwest Market Center in Austin, Texas. You can reach out to me at Pauly C, Pauly with a Y. The letter C is in cat at kw.com. I do a lot of coaching and consulting. I mean, my own team in Vegas ran at $30 to $40 million a year for a while. And I coach a lot of the top producers in the Market Center in and around Austin, Texas and around the country. So I'm always open to coming from contribution and abundance to be able to help people grow their business. And there's plenty I can do to provide. So
perfect. Well, we certainly appreciate you being on this episode. I know that you're going to join us tomorrow too in the studio. So we'll close this one out. Thank you very much for listening to this edition of Real Estate on the Rocks. Want to also thank our sponsors, Guild Mortgage, and our co-hosts, Marshall Tucker and Alicia Hooper.
Woo woo. Bye, y'all.
I'm out.